Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for this webinar on artificial intelligence applied to data analysis in SCADA systems. Today, we're not talking about AI as a theoretical or lab-based concept, but about how to transform real plant data into actionable information for decision-making directly within the SCADA environment. In industrial environments, we have been generating massive amounts of data for years, historical data, trends, alarms, KPIs, indicators. So once the challenge of data acquisition has been addressed, and if it's not the case, if you still are struggling with the data acquisition, please contact us. We are specialists in data acquisition. So after that, the real question becomes what to do with those data. So the question is no longer do I have data, but rather do I truly understand what is happening in my process? Do I know whether what I am seeing is good or bad and to what extent? Can I anticipate situations instead of simply reacting to them? This is exactly what this webinar is about. So first of all, I am going to spend like 3 minutes in explaining who we are and what is advice, which is the software that we are using for this demo, okay? And then I will introduce my colleague, Byron Cortez, and he will explain you all the demonstration and the presentation about this topic. By the way, my name is Ivonne Hernandez from the company Bester Business. So nice to meet you all all of you that don't know me yet. And the rest, nice to see you here. So first of all, for those who still don't know us, we are Vester Business. We are a company that provides or supply software solutions for connectivity, industrial connectivity, and data visualization and control, and data analytics for the industry. We have a suite of brands of tools that we provide. So this is more or less what we do all over the world. We have 4 offices all over the world, and we can operate in any country practically. This is more or less our story. So if you want to know more about us, please contact us and we'll give you our full presentation. And the software advice, that one that we are showing today for this application, is developed by the company Bachmann Visutech. We are their official distributors in many countries. So they founded the company in 2005, and they have spent 20 years developing advice. It's a new generation software for industry, for industrial applications, but it already has 20 years old, so it's a good moment to explore this product. So if you want to know more about Bachmann and advice, in this presentation that we will share with you, there is a link to their website. And together with advice, we have a suite of, we have a partner program. So we provide the solution, but we have a network of partners, engineering companies that adopt advice as one of their solutions, and they can provide solutions like the one that we are presenting today to their customers. And with that program, we provide trainings in the product, trainings in technologies like today's marketing activities, development license, discounts, leads, and so on. So this is more or less who we are and who is behind and together of advice. And what is advice? Advice is a pure web industrial software platform entirely based on OPC UA. So these 2 technologies are important, pure web and OPC UA. This is a server software that you install in any machine. It can be virtual, it can be Docker, it can be cloud, it can be physical, and it provides communication interfaces, very important for application like the one we are showing today. So we can connect to OPC UA servers. Advice is also OPC UA server for exchanging not only real-time information, but also alarms, historical information, methods, and so on. We have a suite of industrial protocols, drivers, of course. We can communicate against databases. We can exchange information using web services. We can run a communication to mail services. I think Byron later will talk about reporting. So you can send by email that reporting results of the AI analysis. And we can also work with text files. And the visualization is in pure web browsers. So you only need a web browser to run these applications. All right. So these are the technologies that said before. I will not spend too many time in explaining what advice is. I prefer you to keep that it is developed in the core with these technologies, pure web for visualization and also communications, and OPC UA for the industrial part, and even internal mechanisms of advice is pure OPC UA. So this is what is advice. Now, that of course we support many other features, but I think it's enough for an introduction. So now I would like to know if my colleague Byron is there. Byron Cortes, Mr. Byron Cortes, are you there? Because you are the guy
Hello.
today.
Yes. Hi, everybody. Yes. Thank you, Ivani, for the introduction. I
Excellent. So
share my.
I stop mine and you share yours.
Yes. Thank you. So I'm gonna actually share the presentation. By the way, actually, you can continue sharing the presentation, Ivani. No, no
Sure,
problem.
sure. Let
Yeah.
me a
Do
second. I stop it.
you?
There we go. So you got me, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
Great. Thank you. So yeah, as Ivana said, the key purpose of this webinar is to introduce you to some new technologies we are implementing in terms of data analytics and artificial intelligence. And the main reason of this is because we've seen an increased demand of this technology. It's quite evident that the industry is moving towards applying new technologies like artificial intelligence and more customers are requesting this type of projects. So we wanted to present you some tools that are gonna save you time in terms of this type of developments, and this is exactly what we're gonna see today. So you can continue, Ivani. Thank you. So inspired by customer needs, as I said, last year we had at least um, between 10 to 15 customers requesting specific projects for artificial intelligence. The previous year, we had probably around between 5 to 6 customers, and the previous year, we didn't have any project related to this. So what we've seen is that the industry is looking for this type of applications. In fact, there is a study saying that for 2027, the use of generative artificial intelligence in manufacturing is expected to grow a compound annual rate of 43%. Obviously, this is a study. Not always those studies actually fulfill expectations, but what we've seen from customers is that this is actually growing. What this represents is an opportunity not only for end customers, but also for the integrators out there. There are customers looking for this. Therefore, there are going to be some uh, opportunities for integrators that have tools in order to implement this type of technologies. But this brings something important and a significant change in terms of how we do automation right now. And it's a good time to bring the standard, which is the ISA 95, kind of in term to uh, give a better context on where we are at the moment and where we are going to be in the future. So right now, probably you have seen this the automation pyramid or pyramid. Um, and in this case, you see that we have 5 levels. All of them have been in the industry for a while. So at the beginning, we started with sensors and actuators in order to convert physical signals into actually digital and analog signals. Then PLCs and DCS in order to control processes or automate processes. And now the SCADA systems, which are actually some of the solutions that we provide, and we have other elements there. But there is an evolution. In fact, what we've seen is that there are two new levels to the automation pyramid. The first one is industrial data analytics, So it is not enough to have all that information in the database doing nothing. What we've seen is that there are multiple customers, actually, they have the data servers, uh, the data centers or their servers specifically designed for information and data, but they are doing nothing. And sometimes they are doing something, but they are doing that manually, and that takes a lot of time. So industrial data analytics is becoming more important. Um, and actually, this is a shift that we've seen since 2015. And there are some companies that are still catching up in that regard. And now we have artificial intelligence. And as you can see, we're not placing artificial intelligence as a different level of the automation pyramid. We are placing artificial intelligence as a whole because it is influencing all the levels of the pyramid, from sensors, from PLCs, DCS, SCADA, even industrial analytics, manufacturing software, and even ERPs. Those are being influenced by artificial intelligence. So the change and the impact is going to be wide. Is our opportunity to be present in this evolution. And I know something that, and I wanted to take the time at this moment, something that I've heard multiple times is that there are customers looking artificial intelligence to solve everything. But the truth is that that's not going to happen. In order to make artificial intelligence work, we need to be very specific because artificial intelligence has a lot of power, but if it is not correctly used, the results are going to be poor. And actually, there is a study that says that 95% of implementations of artificial intelligence have failed in the it was last year, and it's a widely known document. What happens is that most of those implementations were actually implemented in a rush, and that's not the right way to implement artificial intelligence. If it is implemented through analysis and through studies, the results are going to be much better, and this is what we've seen working with our customers. At the end of this webinar, we will see a practical demonstration of how to use artificial intelligence in some scenarios in particular. So that's what we're going to see today. Um, These slides that my colleague Ivone is presenting also bring another aspect about the industry right now. In the past, the mm, the data available, for example, from 2020 to 2026, is been growing steadily, and we expect to grow the data acquisition and the data storing in our customers to grow 300%. And this is a trend that we've seen over the last years. And what happens is that we have a lot of data, but what do we do with that information, with that data that we have stored in our servers? There, there are multiple ways to work with this. Typically in the industry, what we have is historical data. So we have the historian, where you could see all the data in a tabular fashion, and you could download that information and do things manually, for example, in other software like Microsoft Excel or Tableau or Power BI, which is completely fine. And at the same time, you could plot it in trends. But is that enough? I mean, that's a question that we need to ask ourselves. Is it enough? Do we actually extract all the information that we need from that? Is what we are extracting from that data enough in order to take decisions? So what we've seen is that that is not enough. In fact, we need to represent graphical information in more different ways. And that's where dashboards come into play. And I wanted to pause at this section just for a moment. When we say dashboards, it is not only to have nice charts and trends. That's not what it's gonna make the difference. When we say dashboards, what we mean is showing indicators that are gonna help the customer or the the process to run more efficiently. And there are multiple types of dashboards. And what we've seen is that typically this is done in BI software, for example, Power BI or Tableau or Grafana, which that's those are actually great software. Only good comments about them. But we've seen that some customers want to have everything in just one platform, and that's what advice brings, because we want to translate the historical information into graphical insights directly in the application without needing to go and implement different pieces of software. The customer wants to accomplish this as fast as possible. So this is what we accomplish with the dashboard library, which is one of the key differentiators of advice. If you are guessing, okay, well, what is one of the key differentiator of advice is the dashboard library, because we're able to translate information or data that we have in the historical um, section of the application into graphical insights to take better decisions. And this is good, right? We have the charts, we have the trends, but sometimes the user does not know if that information is right or good. And there is where we can bring the artificial intelligence. So it is good to have these charts, definitely. But if we are not well versed on this information, we would need to have an analyst. And obviously hiring an analyst to stay watching the dashboard for 24 hours is not viable because it's very expensive. Would it be possible to have an analyst analyzing the information, perhaps with artificial intelligence? That's what we want to bring in terms of data analytics. Um, so this is exactly the main goal of artificial intelligence in advice at the moment, and the main application that we've seen that can be implemented and provide value. And at the end, we are going to see a demo on how this works. You can continue, Ivone. So in order to understand better how to process the data and how to work with the data, we need to understand how data is stored, typically in SCADA systems, right? So when we store information, when we do the data acquisition process and we store the data in our historian, we will have four elements: source time, server time, status, and value. And those are the most important elements. Actually, we could have a couple more, but every time that we store a data point, that's going to be the way it is stored. And imagine that we have n number of data points. We need to define the best way to present that information. And how can we present, for example, n number of data points into a pie chart? I mean, we cannot take all that data and just push it into a pie chart. That's not going to work. That's not going to make it. We need to process that information. And I say this because the first step in terms of using artificial intelligence in order to analyze our data is to process that data. And that's where Advice actually has a differentiator. We have the processing tools already included in Advice. So for example, we could take all that information and process that into a histogram, for example, or we could create we could process that information in order to present that into a column. So first step, acquire data. Second step, process data. And third step, creating the charts. And this is also going to be initial step in order to use artificial intelligence, because it is easier for the data analyst, even an AI data analyst, to process data or to analyze the charts than seeing all the tabular. information. So this is also going to be beneficial not only for humans that are capable to analyze data faster using the graphical representation of that information, but it's going to be useful for the AI data analyst. That's something that we're going to bring later. You can continue. So in advice, we have all of these charts. In terms of why this is important for you guys, the key point here is advice comes with a wide variety of charts you can use in order to represent your information in the industrial scenario. So that's the key goal here, that you have a lot of tools available at your disposal, and also the processing necessary to present information in those charts already included. So you can go from historical data in the historian to the dashboard in less than 10 minutes. That's the key goal. In other scenarios, you would need to use, for example, other tools like Power BI, which is great. I mean, I love Power BI for certain applications, but you will need to do it manually. You will need to process the information manually. You will need to use external databases. You will need to configure also Power BI. So it takes more time. You could still use Power BI. That's excellent tool. But if you want to get dashboards and get graphical insights as fast as possible, I advise would be the better option. So now introducing the artificial intelligence portion. So the previous one is how we process data and how we present the data to the analysts, including the AI analyst. There are three elements in artificial intelligence that we need to consider in order to have great results. The first one is the data, because the artificial intelligence need to analyze the data. By the way, one comment here, we will focus only on generative AI at this moment. You guys know that we have two elements in AI, generative AI and machine learning. In this case, since the industry is growing towards implementing generative AI, we're going to focus more on generative AI during this presentation. But evidently, there are some applications that can use machine learning, and we also work on those as well. So there are three elements in artificial intelligence: data, LLM, and context. And I'm going to explain this. Data is what we provide to the artificial intelligence in order to provide insights. The LLM is the brain, actually, is the brain. And there are multiple providers for LLM. If you guys haven't heard about this term, LLM is large language models. There are multiple in the market. For example, OpenAI with ChatGPT in 2022, they released the first version of ChatGPT available for the users. And since then, we've seen an explosion on multiple models. For example, Gemini, Grok, Claude. So we will see some of them during this presentation as well. And with those, you could do a lot of things, but there is one missing, which is the context. The context. What is the context? Imagine that you have all your information and you provide that information to the AI. It could be, for example, pressure information about the machine. It could be temperature. It could be, for example, manufacturing efficiency. You provide all of that to the artificial intelligence. That's good. But does the artificial intelligence know about your machine, about your company goals, about the manuals of that machine? That's the context. In order to provide a better answer, in order to actually behave as a data analyst that you have hired in your company, that artificial intelligence also requires a context. And the context is pretty much the manuals, how the manufacturing line works, for example, how the process works, your goals and the KPIs that you have. That's the context that the artificial intelligence require in order to provide a better answer. So that's the trilogy, and we have that in our software. You can continue, Yoni. So this is how it works. In the past, before having generative AI, we had data analysts. And data analysts, typically what they do is, before actually providing insights about what's going on in the process, they first created created a dashboard. They needed to plot that information to actually see what is going on in an easier way. It is almost impossible to see all the data in a tabular fashion in a spreadsheet and extract patterns and trends from there. It would be almost impossible because it's not the best way to analyze the information. So if you're a data analyst, one of the first steps would be to process the data and present that into a more digestible way. That's going to be the dashboard. It's something more intuitive. It's easier to see patterns in the dashboard. Well, the same happens for the AI agent. Imagine providing the AI agent or the LLM 1 million data points and expecting the AI agent to provide insights about 1 million data points. The first problem that you will encounter is that you will be providing a lot of redundant data, redundant information that perhaps is not useful. The second one is going to be very expensive because, as you probably have seen, LLMs charge based on the number of tokens. So if you provide 1 million data points, and you provide, for example, the timestamp, the value, and the source time, that's going to be more than 1 million tokens, definitely, and it's going to be more expensive. So the bright or the smart alternative is process the data and provide that process data to the AI agent so that AI agent can provide insights about what's going on, about what's actually happening with the information. And as you can see, we have the chat interface. This is one of the dashboards that you will see later, the energy analytic dashboard. And we also have the chat. The chat has direct interaction with the information, and you could ask and talk directly with the dashboard and with the AI agent analyzing the dashboard. However, what we've seen is that the industry is very diverse. You will see multiple types of industries. We have um, manufacturing industry, energy management. We also have, for example, automotive industry, mining, pharma. So we have oil and gas, for example. There are multiple industries. And what we've seen is that the best way to harness the power of artificial intelligence is to define a specific experts for each industry and for each application. So as you saw before, we have a chat. When we ask a question in that chat, we send that request to the orchestrator agent. And this is part of the technology that comes with advice. We send that data to the orchestrator agent, and the orchestrator agent defines which is going to be the best AI agent to answer the question. So for example, if we ask a question regarding production or manufacturing, then that question is going to go to the production expert. If we ask a question related to energy, that's going to go to the energy expert, and so on. The key reason of this is it will be, and this is a challenge that actually the um, biggest companies in AI are trying to resolve, which is having general AI superintelligence or AGI, which is a huge challenge. What we've seen is that the best way is to have multiple agents and to have a agent swarm where we have multiple agents and those agents are being orchestrated by a main agent, and the main agent is going to answer that request. So that's part of the architecture that we have. Obviously, we are not going to show the whole architecture, but this is the overall idea. So when you are talking with the chat, you're not talking with one agent, you are talking with a group, a team of agents ready to answer the question. So you can continue, Ivone. So this is how it looks. what we've seen is that customers, and this is something very interesting because this is a feedback that we've had. In the past, we had some customers using LLM providers like, for example, ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or Grok. And what they do is to copy all the data and paste that data into the chat and ask questions. There are two problems with this. The first one is that you would need to do a 2 or 3 step process, and sometimes it is not possible to access all the data and the data is not pre-processed. So what we do is actually implement the chat directly on advice. And this is what we were going to see in the next slide. Another element to consider as well is the following. What we've seen based on the feedback from customers is that having the chat is good because you could ask questions directly and analyze how everything went during the last month, for example, and so on and so forth. But the reality is that you're not going to have someone actually talking to the AI every time that you want to get an answer. The best way to work with this is having an automated report every time that you want from the AI analyst. So imagine having an AI analyst analyzing all the information from your plant and providing insights continuously. Typically this happens whenever for example, whenever you have an alarm. That's the most reactive behavior is that every time that you have an alarm, you go ahead and do the analysis, which is not bad, but this is a missed opportunity. There are a lot of patterns going on in the data that we have in our plants, that we have in our processes. We have a lot of patterns. The best scenario would be to have someone analyzing those patterns every day. That's not viable and almost impossible. So now we have an unprecedented access to information using AI because we could do that automatically every time that we want. So you could, for example, create a report every day or every week about what's going on with your process. And that's something that we are going to see in the demo. So that's the idea of this generation. We wanted to bring a very, I mean, this is more a plus, but we saw that customers were interested on having designer quality results in terms of the reports that they were getting. I mean, the reports don't need to be boring because typically when you see reports are like uh, uh, PDFs without images that actually look very boring, that are not very dynamic. So we wanted to bring something different, something that's gonna stand out. So if you are an integrator and you want to stand out, not only with artificial intelligence, but also with designer quality PDF reports, this is gonna be a great option. And the key point is to dazzle or to impress the user and to provide a more interactive approach in terms of um, in terms of analyzing the information. So the reports are going to be completely are completely configurable, and at the same time, you could let the AI to define the structure of the report. Because imagine if you have if you have a data analyst, you could tell him to provide the same report every time, or you could tell him to create a new report every time as well. So you have both options. And AI agent, you could provide the AI agent the space and the ability to create different reports. And you could have the different reports with the right information, obviously, every time that you want. And I think that with that, we need to move to the demo. And perhaps this is what you guys have been waiting for. I'm going to share my screen just for a moment. So yeah, this is advice interface. Before getting into this section, I wanted to give you one comment that we have. Obviously, businesses are interested on increasing revenue and profitability. That's evident because that's the main goal of businesses. From our perspective, we also want to provide value. So the key point of this presentation is to provide you as much value as possible because we really care about the success of you as integrators or end customers. And this tool was designed based on the feedback from customers. So we wanted to create something very useful for them. If you consider that this could be much better, you could ask questions, as Ivone is saying, and you could provide feedback as well about the tool, because we want to shape this tool to be the most useful tool for customers. At the end, a tool should not be created based on our understanding of the technology. It should be shaped by the customers, and that's what we want to create here. So this is the interface. We have I mean, we are going to see the analysis for multiple examples. So this is one of the examples. This is gas analysis. We are analyzing the input pressure, output pressure, and gas flow of one point of a gas pipeline. But there is something important to consider. You could ask questions here directly, but we're going to schedule first one of the reports because those reports actually take some time. Those reports take around 4 minutes to be created. So we're going to first schedule a report and later we are going to talk to the AI agent in the meantime while we wait for the report, right? We're going to create a report analyzing this information. As you could see, this is the behavior of the input pressure. This is the behavior of the output pressure. And as you could see, we have some events that happened. Actually, we have information from the 28th of January. Let's bring more information. For example, it could be, let's see, well, current month. Oh no, last month. Last month. I'm sorry. Oh, last 2 weeks. Last 2 weeks is okay. Just 1 second. Last 2 weeks. So this is all the information that the AI is going to process. So I'm going to open this in another window. As you can see, we could have obviously two windows working, and this is the dashboard from Advice. And here we're going to schedule the analysis. So in order to schedule the analysis, we go here. We have two tabs. One is going to be for the scheduling, and the other one is going to be for the report configuration. In the report configuration, you define the recipients, and if you have questions, you could enter here. You could see here the explanation. So for example, I'm gonna enter my email address. So b.cortes@vestaresl.com. I need to add them. I could add any number of email addresses. So I could add Ivone's and I could add any of you guys. And at the same time, I enter the email title. So the email title in this case would be gas analysis. Okay. You could provide special instructions to the agent. For example, make sure to analyze, oh, sorry, analyze the anomalies. Or you could provide, or for example, provide a summary. Or you could ask any other type of, for example, a style in terms of how the agent is going to answer, any type of element. You could select the model. Let's select Grok 4. I like actually Grok 4 is pretty good. or you could use Gemini. This is the report language, in this case English, obviously. And here is the dashboard that you could choose. As I said before, the AI agent is going to analyze dashboards. That's the key point here, because as AI agents, as data analysts, the idea is to analyze the existing dashboards. So the dashboard that we have is the gas monitoring dashboard, which is this one. And we need to define the window that we're going to analyze. So for example, here is from the 11th of January to the 25th. So this is the data that we are going to be analyzing. By the way, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. So I'm gonna select that time range. Let's see. So from last month, it's gonna be the 11th. That's good. Let's say that's gonna be from the beginning of the day. Okay. Here, there you go. So we have it. And let's see. And let's analyze up to today. That's good. Actually, I need to add the dashboard because the AI agent is capable to analyze multiple dashboards and actually correlate information about those multiple dashboards. That's also another great tool that we have available. So this is the configuration of the report. Then we need to define when is gonna happen this report. And we have multiple options. It could be one time, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. If you select, for example, weekly, you could select the days where you want this to happen. That's okay. But this time it's going to be one time, and we are going to schedule this to happen at 9:50. That's good. So 9:50 a.m. one time. This is the description. I'm going to just double check. This is my email, gas monitoring, all that information. That's good. Okay, so I'm going to save, and that's going to schedule. We have scheduled the gas monitoring, and we could create multiple reports. And the AI agent is going to be doing all the analysis by itself. So we have scheduled this. We will see later the report. It takes a little bit of time. I mean, the data analyst would take perhaps a week analyzing the information. The AI agent, it's going to take 5 minutes. So we need to give it some time, right? It's reasonable. Okay, I'm going to open another one to show you the analysis for the energy. So this is the energy dashboard that perhaps you see before, where we analyze the electrical variables that typically we analyze from the energy analyzer. For example, frequency, offset angle, reactive power, active power. So if you're not well versed of on energy analysis, perhaps this dashboard could be a little bit overwhelming because, I mean, seeing this, would you say is it good, or perhaps the energy health of my process is bad? We need to have some help here. So what you can do is to define a time range. So for example, this time range is going to be good. And go ahead and talk to the AI agent. So it says that it received the energy information. I'm going to use Grok as well here. By the way, you have multiple LMs or LM providers available. As I said, we work with Grok, but you could use anyone. For example, we also have GPT-5, so that's another option. So as you can see, well, as you've seen, perhaps it is necessary to have the right um, um, prompting. So prompt engineering is also very useful here. So help me understand the energy behavior of my process as an energy analyst. Analyst. What else we could ask? Correlate variables. And that would be it. I mean, you could ask more things and be more specific, and then the AI agent is going to take that information and start analyzing that information to provide the result. That's where we are going to see now. Let me check my email if I have already received the report, and I think that I haven't yet. So let's give it some time. It is still analyzing the information. Actually, it takes around 4 minutes. In the meantime, I could talk about the evolution that we are planning for this. As I said before, the next step is to provide more context to the AI so that you can provide access to the manuals of the process, for example, the machines that we have in the process, so that the AI agent is going to be capable of correlating the information in the manuals. For example, let's say that you have an alarm or a critical situation. So the AI agent goes, analyze the manual, and provide feedback based on the manual so that you can take action based on the actual manual or documentation of the of some of the machines or uh, tools that we have. So that's the next evolution. And oh yeah, we got the answer. So here is a summary. For example, here we have the process exhibits stable energy consumption characteristics based on the provided SCADA data. All voltage and current waveforms are highly periodic and symmetrical, indicating consistent balance AC power. Let's say, I mean, here is correlation. Actually, there is some interdependence between voltage and current. The three phases for both voltage and current are shifted approximately 120 degrees, typically for three-phase systems. Current waveforms align closely, high voltage. The power factor 0.9596, which is this one, and the offset angle are directly correlated. A power factor close unity indicates efficiency power utilization with minimal reactive component aligning with relative low reactive power. I mean, this is okay. These independent active powers account for approximately 92 of the apparent power, 92%, consistent with the observed power factor. This is something, I mean, it's saying that is good. I think that the analysis was very brief. I'm gonna ask for more. I think that the analysis was very brief. I want a deeper analysis. Also, bring me also tell me a diagnostic of the health of this system. Great. So I'm gonna ask this. I think that perhaps we already have the report. Oh, yes, there you go. I'm gonna share my email. As you could see, 9:54. Here's the gas analysis, and I'm gonna open the gas analysis to see what it created. Oh, there you go. This is the gas analysis. So operational analysis, and you can see it says Camusi is because the template that we have is for actually one customer. Operation analysis of pressure flow regulation. This reports analyzes gas operations from 11 January to 4th February. Finding generally state performance with two key anomalies: a pressure transmitter line pegging at 41 bar during low and flow regulation. So here is the summary. And here are the key findings: baseline operation, the range under normal conditions. And let's analyze the events. Actually, it says there is an event, the 28th. Let's see. Actually, we could see this, an event the 28th. Oh, we don't have information from the 28th. Just 1 second. So I'm gonna say that this is gonna from the 11 January. That's good. Okay, and the other one it's gonna be February 4. It's okay. So apply time range. There you go. So it said that we have a problem from the first from 28th of January from 9:50 to 7. And here in the gas analysis it says so around 7 hours. P out fixed at 41 bar for 3 consecutive samples, while Q, which is the gas flow, was very low. let's see. Oh, there you go here. Oh, look at this. The gas flow was very low during actually this period of time. So the AI analyst is not only analyzing one chart, but it's actually correlating the information between multiple charts. There is also another event, the 25th. Just there you go, the 25th. The output pressure was 45. Yes, output pressure 45 for the short period of time. And it says the reading actually. And then there is another with medium severity. It was, this event happened the 13th. And there you go, we have the 13 here. Oh, there you go, the 13, yes. Here actually do zoom in. So 13, and this is the behavior that we had. And this is what we are seeing here. And we also here, and also we have another event. This situation happened. Afterwards, the AI analysts provide hypotheses of what could happen, and this hypothesis could be even better if you provide more context. So the output pressure transmitted clamped on the range, high confidence, the repair exact inter values are constant. So what it is saying, let me apply the range again. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me play the range again from January the 11th to today. That's okay. What it is saying is that perhaps the sensor was clamped, and it's something very reasonable because, oh, let me reset the sun. And it's very reasonable because, as you could see, we have a constant behavior here in the pressure and here as well. So with this one, that's one of the hypotheses. And it also has another hypothesis that the regulator dropped during peak demand, which makes sense because it says the P out sagged to 45 bar while the flow was near its peak. So it is correlating the peak and the value. So yeah, and it also provides some recommendations and gaps limitations, and you could provide at the end this type of kind of image at the end. One important aspect, this is completely configurable. You could create any type of report for your customer, and the AI analyst is gonna pretty much follow that format. Just to get to the end, as you could see, now we have a much deeper analysis from the data analyst. So we got it to work. So here we have analysis of the voltage, the current analysis, the three phases, the power quality metrics, and let's go to the final analysis. Overall, the system appears healthy based on this snapshot, with no red flags and power quality balance. Key diagnostic: the balance and stability, three-phase voltage, and current are symmetric and sinusoidal. Power quality PF of 0.96 is excellent, above 0.9. Efficiency, active power utilization is high relative to apparent, minimizing energy waste. Potential issues, a slightly frequency elevation. It says that the frequency is a little bit higher. Could indicate generator overspeed, if not grid tight. Recommendations: the system is operating normally, but the health could be confirmed by adding THD, so harmonics distortion, the total harmonics distortion, extending time series of peak. And you could continue asking questions about the data. And not only about this dashboard, or any dashboard. You could actually create any dashboard that you could have in mind and start asking questions to the analyst. For example, this is someone that I didn't show. This is the OAE dashboard to analyze quality. And yep, so this is the overall kind of analytics. So you could also do wind generation analyst, aquaculture analytics, and any type of a dashboard. And any dashboard could also create a report. So you could talk directly to the AI and at the same time, you could ask it to do the report whenever you want. So yeah, this is the demo section. Obviously, if you want to see more and if you want to see more dashboards and more reports, we could do a demo specifically for anyone. You could contact us directly. And I'm gonna leave some space to Ivone to present the last section of the presentation.
Thank you, Byron. Impressive.
Mm.
We like a lot how you present the solutions that we provide. Now it's time to some questions before getting into the next steps. We have three questions so far, two by private and one by public. Let's start
Mhm.
with the public one from David Cowex. He said, "Does the AA agent require online connection, or could you get it working offline?" That's what
Oh,
was the most
yeah.
expected question.
I love that question, David. Actually, thank you for that one. Um, yes. Well, oh yeah, is token limit still apply for this query? Yeah, thank you for that question as well, Sanjay. Okay, the answer is the following. We have two options. This application works through API. So we get connection to the LLMs through the API, right? So API providers are in the cloud, or we could also have our own LLM running in our own machine and provide access to that local LLM or local AI through the API of that local AI. So for example, locally, you could be running models like OpenSSC, or you could be running Llama, or you could be running, there are other models like Kimi K2 or Kimi K 2.5, or even DeepSeek. So you could run them locally and connect all the analysis to that local LLM. I know that the main concern is data privacy. I totally understand and I totally get that point. The one of the ways to resolve this is having the data privacy standards in place. There is a standard SC2 with the LM providers, with Claude, with OpenAI, with XAI, and with Google. They have this data privacy standard that whenever you are paying for the API that they provide, they are gonna ensure that that data is not gonna be used for other purposes. Of course, I mean that's one of the levels of security that you have. That they have that security that they have their standard, and at the same time that they have their policies. But if your customer is not willing to move their information into the cloud to the LLM providers, which is totally fine, you could also use local LLMs and connect everything to the local LLM. We have both options. Something important to consider, for example, for many companies, they use Copilot. And as probably you already know, Microsoft actually doesn't provide any type of LLM. Therefore, what they are using is actually ChatGPT and Claude behind the scenes. So at the end, all the company data that you have in Copilot is actually going to ChatGPT and Claude due to that privacy policy that we have, which is SO2. And if you could trust to Copilot, therefore you can trust directly to ChatGPT and Claude. Obviously, I know that it's easy to say than to be done. Therefore, you also have the possibility to work with local LLMs, and therefore you can work with offline uh, uh, and online fashion.
Let me
D
extend that
yeah.
question, Byron, before going ahead to the next. That connection to
Mhm.
local LLMs is also through API, right?
Correctly. Yes. Yes. It's
So
also. I
there's
mean,
now, from that base point of view, there's nothing different.
exactly. There is no different. Then there is no difference. It is the same. I'm going to answer also Sanjay's question. Thank you very much, Sanjay. Is token limit still apply for this query based on the time range selected? Yes, yes, it's true. However, there are multiple algorithms working behind the scenes so that you pre-process the data in order to share less information to the LLM so that the token consumption is reduced. We also provide some plans, and actually, if you want to get more information about this, we could get together in a meeting. We provide plans where you could where we provide access to the LLM, and you could get access to a certain amount of queries per month, and you paid for actually for those queries. So that's the way this actually works. We have a tool actually in order to provide that access. But we have designed an algorithm to reduce the number of data points that we provide to the LLM to only provide the most important data points and to avoid providing redundant data points that obviously are not going to provide any value, but
Yeah.
are going to be only costly.
That,
Yep.
that's a common discussion. So artificial intelligence will detect more hidden patterns if you share all the data to them. But again, those data can be redundant. So
Yeah.
there's a data engineering here always. So the AI will never substitute us as workers in
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Okay,
Definitely.
there's two more
Mm-hmm.
questions in the private section. One of them is actually repeated, is related
Mm-hmm.
to the architecture. In this architecture, where does the artificial intelligence reside? It's embedded in the SCADA, is deployed as an external service or implemented as a decoupled agent. That's exactly the same question as David. So that's
Mm-hmm.
answered. And the other one has pretty much to do with the security. What are the
Mm-hmm.
cybersecurity implications of connecting the SCADA system to the AI agents through API?
Yeah. Yeah, there is definitely there's a valid concern for the one that actually asked that question. In terms of cybersecurity, advice was actually designed for cybersecurity. So from the platform, we have very strong cybersecurity measures. What we use is certificates in order to perform those communications. So no one is gonna actually be able to grab that communication with the API. And from the LLM provider, we have the standards that they work with and the certificates that work with, in particularly for the data privacy. So we have two levels. The first one is actually three levels. The platform was designed to be cyber secured. Communication between the server and the LLM goes through certificated or using certificates in the communication. And finally, the LLM provides also their standard in order to protect their information. As I said, the standard is SO2. You could also look for that standard in terms of data privacy. But that's a completely valid question. If you want to have everything locally, that's also possible through the local LLM.
Excellent. Thank you, Byron. These are the questions so far. So if you want to go ahead and explain the next steps before ending the webinar, that would be great.
Yeah, well, final steps. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us. Digital twin configurations and enhanced contextual awareness. That's the next version. This is the version 2.0 of artificial intelligence in advice. The next would be digital twins, so that we provide even more information to the AI agent and the AI analyst. And the best way to provide information of the context is providing the physical tools in order to calculate scenarios, and that's through the digital twin configuration, and that's what's coming in the next webinar. Probably you will see this. And integrated machine learning algorithms to the agents. The agents could be smart enough to create their own machine learning algorithms, so that whenever they see the data, is not only to analyze the data by itself, but also pre-process the data using machine learning algorithms to even get better results. So that's the next step in terms of development, and what you will see in the next following months, and that's the evolution that we will have.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, if there
Mhm.
is any other question pending to answer, that I don't think so, but we enabled a section to ask questions before the webinar. I don't get them now, but we will have them in the reports. If they are still pending on answer, we will be sure to answer them when we share with you the email, the post-webinar email. So please expect our email in the few days with this presentation. And from our side, thank you very much for your interest,
So
for joining us with today. Thank you, Byron, for your presentation and demo.
yeah.
And have a good
Mhm.
day.
Yeah, well, one final comment, thank you, Bonnie, is you will get our information through the email if you want to get together with us to provide feedback or at the same time to get more information on how to implement this with your customers. Feel free to answer that email and we will stay in touch. Thank you actually very much again and thank you, Bonnie, as well.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.
You too. Have a good one. Bye bye.